What's going on, everyone? Golden Ticket to History coming to you for another card discussion. A few days ago, I was waiting in line eating dinner, and I had an epiphany about this idea of spirit attachment. So I decided to post a quick video, kind of just to see what your thoughts were on the topic. And I was generally pleased in the fact that there was definitely a lot of discussions on various different forums across social media that have raised questions about it. It's one of those topics that's not talked about enough, in the sense that, when we think about spirit attachment, we think of Pazuzu and The Exorcist in the 1970s, some demonic force that's taken and attached itself to an innocent victim and is now going to use its physical human body, or their human body, as now a mechanism to carry out havoc, which is not the case in many instances. Essentially, in most instances, a spirit attachment could be simply someone or a ball of energy may not have the ability to travel on its own, and it may just want to carry itself with you, follow you back home. Maybe it wants to take, and maybe it marks the individual, and that's how it attaches itself and carries itself with the person. Sometimes it's potentially could be negative. It could be an evil energy, an evil entity. And in some cases, it could be a very positive entity. It could be something that's looking for, trying to find answers. The supernatural is a very interesting concept in the sense that it's unknown. It's just a bunch of theories, a bunch of ideas, because even though we've been able to have different conversations with those who have passed on, the consensus on to what degree that the evidence that we have provides with a lot of context is something that's very debated. There's always the questions of unfinished business. There's questions of, did the person lose their life in a traumatic way and it's just energy trapped in time and space? Is it an intelligent entity, or is it just a residual haunting, such as like a record player playing on and on and on throughout the rest of history? So I was really pleased to see that a lot of people were really getting engaged with the conversation, and I had a second idea that came to my mind today, which is the concept of matrixing. So matrixing is this idea, it's a psychological concept where your mind tries to make sense of things. Okay, our brains are very, very complex and very intelligent organs. However, our brain does not like to be misled, and our brain does not like to be confused. So our brain tries to take things that make no sense and tries to force sense upon those items, such as when you stare up into the sky and see blotches of clouds. There's the blotches of clouds, but our brain doesn't understand this. Our brain tries to make connections to things that are familiar to us, such as unicorns, hearts, statues, birds, things like that. And the same ideas have carried over into the supernatural realm as well. People have seen the different chemicals and different metals and mirrors and such that have caused a distortion to the mirror, which has led to different types of matrixing, where people have seen entities, faces, things like that, and people have questioned whether or not that's actually a spirit trying to manifest, or if it's just matrixing. Same thing happens like in dark corners of rooms and stuff like that, whether or not it's actually an entity trying to gather energy to manifest, or if it was just a pile of clothes, or was it a pile of leaves underneath a tree. So, where do we draw the line between what's viewed as being matrixing from a psychological standpoint and what's actually a supernatural entity? When I think of it, I think of the idea that an entity is just that. It's energy. Whereas matrixing is just something that's in time and space. It could be a pile of clothes, a pile of leaves. It could be a smudge on a window. It could be a cloud up in the sky. The difference is one is intelligent, or one carries with it a motive. The other is just an item in time and space. That's just kind of what I think of when I think of matrixing. What are your thoughts about matrixing? How do we ensure that we're drawing the fine line between what is truly a spirit trying to manifest and interact and communicate, or maybe not trying to communicate in a residual situation, versus what's just a ball of dust? I've been a believer for most of my of my life. I started watching supernatural shows when I was probably 6 or 7 years old. One of my favorite shows watching growing up, I used to get it home. I couldn't wait for it to be 4 o'clock, and I could watch Haunted History on the History Channel. It used to be one of my favorite shows. Even now, I go online and I still watch old episodes to bring back that nostalgia that I had from that time period. So let me know if you like these type of discussion videos. I know that sometimes people will just post long-winded discussion posts on different forums, which I enjoy sometimes too. But every once in a while, it's just like, I could try to write things out, or I could just post a video that we can look at and flush out collectively as a group. So put down in the comments what your thoughts are about matrixing. Do you think that it's something that's legitimate or not? It's kind of like the concept of orbs, which is something I may talk about in a future discussion video. A lot of people argue about whether or not orbs are actually entities, and where do we decide whether or not it is or isn't, based off of, does it have its own flight pattern? Does it seem to be interacting on its own, or is it being pulled or pushed by something? Let me know what you think in the comments, and let me know what other concepts you may want to talk about. As always, continue to look for the history in film, and I'll see you guys in the next vlog. Until next time.